Hello everyone. We are about to start. We'll wait for 2 minutes, then we can start. Praveen, over to you.
And Raj, we can start, right?
Yes, Praveen, we can.
Or do you want me to wait for 2 minutes?
Uh, yeah, we can start.
Okay. Hello, good morning, everyone. I hope you can see my screen and my voice is clearly audible as well. So today is 18th December. So for the Azure developer community, I will be talking about the introduction to Azure Monitor. And this is going to be a series of sessions. First one, we are going to start with very basics of the monitoring and what Azure is offering. Starting with me, so some of you might already know I'm Praveen. Currently, I'm working as a program director at AdFox LLC, a UAE-based firm. There, I work as a enterprise work in the field of enterprise architecture and program management, and I head the development division in India from India. And previously, I was with Orion India Systems in InfoPark. There, I was the senior manager for technology. And before that, before some 10 years back, I was with IT Solutions, which is in Technopark. And I was a project manager for a research and development wing there. Starting with, and about some more information, if someone wants to contact me, my Twitter, LinkedIn information is there, and my email ID is also displayed. And I regularly blog at ninthsense.com. Mostly it's my achievements and technology blogs. And I have some certifications as well, especially Azure architecture certification I have, and a couple of my other Microsoft certifications as well. And I have a PMP and a product owner certification as well. And I am a Microsoft Reconnect MVP. So in this session, we like I said, we will be planning a series of sessions related to mainly not just monitoring the operations aspects altogether. And initially, we will be starting with the monitoring itself. So this session is mostly about the umbrella, which is Azure Monitor, and what are the components coming under the Azure Monitor from a very high level. That's the point. Coming sessions, we will be going a little bit hands-on. We will see how to configure the Azure Monitor, how auto configuration works, and how actions and how we analyze the data we collected. It's basically a logging platform, right? Azure Monitor is about monitoring something, as the name suggests. We will be monitoring the uh, components, what components we'll discuss, and we will collect some data from that. Kind of, we have, black box, right? The black box in air carriers. If some accident happens, you will get full monitoring information from that black box. So here we will not be analyzing later. This is going to be kind of real-time analysis. And we will be having a Q&A, but since we are going YouTube live, there is a limitation in asking questions face to face. So feel free to type your questions in the chat, and we will address one by one towards the end of the session. So starting with the Azure Monitor, so it was initially introduced for Azure but it is something more than Azure nowadays. So this is not something new, a new concept, right? So long back when we started the computer, the application development, that time itself, we used to collect all the kinds of data. In fact, especially for the enterprise level applications, it was mostly in the form of audit trials, and we used to collect the exceptions, mainly because once the application is in production, the developer is not seeing the application uh, in action, right? How it runs. And the developer, nowadays there is a funny fact as well, right? Like when you develop the application, your computer might be having too much resources, like nowadays 32 GB minimum RAM, and you have 8 core processor. But when you deploy that to production, the server might be running on a 8 MB or 8 GB RAM based computer with 2 or 4 core processors and very, very low on resources. So situations changed because when we move to cloud, everything is cost effective nowadays, and we do not have any resource problems anymore. Auto scaling features are there, so automatically whenever required, automatically it will scale and it will scale down. So nowadays it is not a problem, but still when you talk about on-premise deployments, that is still a problem. The server might be having a 64 GB of RAM, for example. So any application you are going to host in that traditional environment, it's going to be same across all the applications, because you might be having limitations. Your server might be using some old software, and it is been there for a very long period, and you cannot touch. If you touch, there is a fear if something goes wrong, the production application will also come down. So many issues are there. So we are going to talk about the modern monitoring solution here. So there are, it's not just monitoring, there are many other concepts as well, like observability. So we will come in detail about what are the differences, everything in later sessions. But the product in hand, Azure Monitor. So earlier we used to collect some kind of information using some log doc write kind of statement, using some lightweight libraries, or we used to write a custom SQL statement. So whenever there is an exception, right, collect, catch that exception and log it in the DB. So, and weekly or whenever something goes wrong, we will check the DB and see if any errors happened. And if some customer reports that he is unable to see some records he entered yesterday, so we will use that data for the post-mortem purpose. The basic concept is still the same, but the facilities and opportunities uh, increased too much. That's the point here. So here, the Azure Monitor, when you, I am assuming you, whoever attending this session is having some basic idea about Azure already. And Azure Monitor is not something you will learn when you start learning Azure. Okay, so we consider it as a little bit intermediate topic, but it is not like that. When you create a resource, for example, a Cosmos DB or a virtual machine, so by default, it is designed to collect information using this Azure Monitor. So still there is an option when you create the virtual machine. Maybe if there are any beginners, I will show how it that feature is. I'll be using my personal account. So this is the monitor thing, okay, but we are not going to test the monitor right away. Instead, I'm going to create a sample virtual machine maybe. This is not a tutorial about how to create a virtual machine, but it's in Azure portal, everything is very simple. So I will give some sample values that is available. I am keeping the default options just for the sake of creating something. Images, you can use anything. Size, you can use anything. It's up to your size of the pocket. Okay. Now going to the next part. So I will go to the management part, where you can see there is a feature called monitoring, where all the diagnostics, everything will be collected, right? So you have the provision in almost all the resources you create. You can simply disable it. So there are many types of monitoring possible. So I suggest you to do an exploration so we can continue with our monitoring part. So back recapping what I said. So when you create most platform as a service resources, by default the monitoring capabilities will be there, enabled, or you can manually disable that. So some kind of diagnostic information, some logs, everything will be collected. Some time series information will be collected and kept. So additionally, you can go, that also I will show, you can go directly to our Azure Monitor. Now my monitor might be empty because I do not have enough resources here. So this is the monitor home. You can see so many options here, and especially the insights section, applications, virtual machines, storage accounts, containers, networks. So many things you can monitor. You can if you have a web application or something, you don't have to manage that in your application section. You can directly come to the monitor, and this area will be definitely required if you want to set additional or advanced settings. So you can click create, and you just have to give some parameters and it will start monitoring. So basically, Azure Monitor collects and analyzes and act on telemetry. It's all about telemetry data, right? It's all about some points, some data points which monitor will be collecting, and some events like audit trail, some exceptions. So those events also will be collected. And it is not just limited to Azure components, the Azure resources which you are creating. It is applicable for on-premises or external environments as well. So there is a small catch. For Azure resources, there is a built-in capability to monitor, but for on-premise environments where Azure do not have direct involvement or direct connectivity, then you will have to install some agents to make this data collection works. So basically, we use the any monitoring solution to maximize the performance and availability of your applications and proactively identify problems in seconds. So it's a kind of 50-50, in fact. So you get the data, you can analyze it, but some items you can automate the remedies as well. For example, if uh, for to give an example, uh, if you think uh, you get notified when a server which you have allocated for one customer is taking too much consumption. For example, if it crosses 50 percentage of utilization, so you want an alert in mail, for example. So this can be automated. But some things uh, you'll have to take your own decision as well after seeing the collected data and after seeing the analyzed data. So, so some things you can automate, some things if it is a business decision, for example. So we still the campaigns, right? The product campaigns. Once, like for example, a baby food. So if one company is introducing a baby food, so they will not go for a mass production on the first day itself. So it's a marketing campaign. Once they start the marketing, they will, for example, they will in for a specific geography, they will introduce some thousand uh, packets, thousand lots, and and they will constantly monitor how much is being sold, what is the customer reception. So many parameters they will analyze, and then only they will decide either they will go for modification of the product or modification of their marketing strategy, and based on that they will decide how many more lots we can introduce in this particular market. That's a phased approach, in fact. So they will plan in advance. There will be some 5 to 10 phases, and in the first phase, these are the things we are going to do. In the second phase, we will introduce a different flavor of the same baby food, and the quantity can be adjusted. So similarly, you can use the whatever logs we are collecting uh, and other information we are collecting. You can use those data and the visualizations outcome for your decision making, not just for the business. Mostly, I would say 60 percentage plus will be used for the operational purposes. So here, when we talk about infrastructure and cloud, uh, it's mostly about the cost, which matters more, right? So we need to know if we are using 5 load balanced servers for a website, and we came to know that during summer that we are not getting enough hits which we anticipated. So why should we spend money for servers which are idle, right? So we can scale down to 1 or 2 servers in that period there for a couple of months. So we can take a manual decision. For example, it happens in April, then we can log into the system, scale down in April, and after 2 months we can scale up. Or effective uh, solution would be to scale it up automatically. So we can set up a rule. We can create a rule in Azure Monitor and tell Azure that if the number of hits or some threshold value is increasing than this much limit, then let it auto scale to this much number of additional servers or farms, whatever. So those kind of immediate actions also we can do here. So Azure Monitor basically store and analyze all your operational telemetry in a centralized. We don't know how internally Microsoft is storing the data or handling the data, but it is centralized. Uh, we have too many types of resources available in Azure and in on-premise or wherever. Implementing a logging and monitoring mechanism for each and every component. That's what the old school approach that is not really effective in an operational perspective because it is very costly, right? So Azure Monitor is providing a common unified platform where you can monitor all of your resources in one place. You can simply partition it based on or group it based on your number of applications. That's a different story. But the level of uh, grouping possible is starting from the resource level. It can be a resource manager level. It can be a subscription level. One company can have n number of subscriptions, right? And can be in a tenant level as well. That's the beauty of that. And this is fully managed, scalable data store that is optimized for performance and cost. And some sorry, some about the intelligence part. So this is not simply a logging mechanism, right? It gives it has automation point of that, some analysis point of that. It has a built-in analytical engine, and it has a log explorer which uses a good powerful language that we will come to that. And it has some built-in machine learning capabilities as well. It's a black box for us. We don't know what is happening behind, but it uses some artificial intelligence also internally. And ultimately, this is not a closed system, so we can extend our monitoring capabilities by integrating other systems, third-party systems or other visualization systems like that. So integration with other parties as well required. Sorry. So I already mentioned there is analysis and intelligence, everything built in available. There are dashboards exist, some workbooks exist, which will let you do your own self-service analysis already. But if you think you need something more than that, you are an advanced user, you want to do some more advanced analysis and some machine learning on the collected data, then you can go with any big data tools or Power BI. Power BI has built into some direct support already, but you can use Tableau or Grafana like tools also. So we are going a little bit detailed, but still we will stand in a high level view. Sorry. Now coming to the features part, what all things it can monitor, right? So ultimately, any cloud system or any infrastructure system is ultimately for creating an application platform, right? So nowadays it's mostly web-based applications and the services, microservices, APIs. So the application part is taken care, and it doesn't matter which language we use. It supports almost all the languages and SDKs, APIs, everything available. And if you think for the language which you are using doesn't have a direct or open source API is available, then Azure Monitor is having their own APIs which you can, REST APIs available which you can use to customize directly in your applications. Then comes the infrastructure part. For virtual machines, for AKS, that is Kubernetes, Azure Kubernetes Service, the storage, the databases, Cosmos DB and all. Like I mentioned initially, when you create the resource itself, it will give some kind of capability which you can configure. And advanced capabilities, you can go to the Azure Monitor part of the Azure portal directly and do the customization there. Next comes the network part. Again, in the infrastructure part, you can the Docker, everything is covered, which includes the on-premise as well. Okay, so only problem with VM and other third party kind of infrastructures is you will have to install a agent, a Azure Monitor agent. Then only the data will be collected by the Azure Monitor. Now coming to the network, it's routing and the security groups, Azure Active Directory. So those aspects are covered in the network. So these are the three major categories Azure Monitor is concerned about. Now this this is a full diagram of the full structure of the Azure Monitor. So left side you can see the applications which we have already covered. Then comes the infrastructure where our operating system is there, and it's not a complete diagram. I would say it mentions the major components only. After operating system, these are all sources, right? The sources of data for Azure Monitor. Then Azure resources comes. It can be individual components as well from a resource manager perspective. Then the Azure subscription, and finally the Azure tenant. That is a hierarchy. And additionally, if you are not just considering the Azure platform, then you can have the custom sources. Maybe your website is hosted in Amazon, or you are on premise. Then still you can collect data, and you can analyze and see the collected information in a central location, which is Azure Monitor. Then basically we have the metrics and logs. See, two types of data are collected. A metrics is kind of time series data, so that will be collected by default, I would say. Like when a system is running on a fixed interval, it will collect data points. It's basically numerical data, not the text or event data. The based on various KPIs or parameters, it will collect the data. And if you go to the Metrics Explorer, a Metrics Explorer is a kind of a subset of Data Explorer, where you can graphically, as well as other modes, you can see that threshold level in a graphical way, right? And then coming to the logs part, that's the events part. That's the audit trail. That's the exception tracking part I was talking about. So it's basically text data. Whenever some event happens, that event will be collected in a technical format, unless you are providing a customized input, customize the parameter. Like if you are using this feature in your website to collect the information, then you can have user friendly messages also logged. So keep in mind, we are collecting two types of data, which is one is the numerical type of data, which is basically a time series data called metrics, and we have the log data, where in Azure Monitor, using log analytics, we will be analyzing the data. Then once the data is collected, now we have to analyze. So we have basic features like Metrics Explorer is there, then log analytics is there. Now it provides some level of data exploration facilities, but if you want to do some more advanced data analysis and visualization, then you have dashboards, the next level. So dashboards, maybe you will be able to relate with the business application dashboards, right? It's a kind of one view where high level information from different business units you can see, right? So dashboards are supposed to be a single screen, or you can categorize You can introduce any number of dashboards and categorize the data, but it has its own limitations as well. Like you cannot go deep into each view possible. These views comes inside dashboards. Then if you are an advanced user and you want to go deep, you want to dig deeper into the data, uh, and you want to do real postmortem of some major event happened, then you need the workbooks. There you will get templates as well, and also you can create templates. You can create your own views, and you can execute your own visual analysis, everything. Still, again, this happens inside the Azure Monitor interface itself. But if you want to go little bit deeper inside the data, then you can use your own tools. For example, Power BI. So why Power BI is mentioned this in this official diagram is because Power BI is also from Microsoft, and it has got uh, close coupling with the features available in Azure, right? Not particularly Azure Monitor. So you can go with Power BI as well. The top layer is something which we already discussed, the types of uh, data it is being collected from, right? It's the application insights is basically used for collecting data from the applications, no matter if it is web applications or some other types of application. Application insights supports almost all types of data collection, including the services, microservices, everything, and doesn't matter which language you are using or which technology stack you are using. And we have the container, we have the Docker, we have Kubernetes, and then we have VMs and other monitoring solutions. And now coming to the respond and integrate part, it's respond is basically the automation part, I would say. So if something goes wrong, if it is in the middle of the night, you are sleeping, and if you will not come to know if there is an outage happened in your production application. So you can set alerts, right? You can, based on the different priorities, you can set alerts, so you will get an SMS, for example. And based on some parameter changes on that, after that data analysis, you can specify the auto scale kind of features as well. That is part of automation, where you don't have to touch the system, you don't have to reconfigure any system. So automatically, based on some parameters collected, it will do some action. Then finally, we have the integration capabilities with the third party as well as inbuilt Azure functionalities. Like, again, you can based on the data, you can let any third party application or resource like logic apps to do some action, or power apps, you can do some additional action. So that capability is also available there. So some of the points we will revisit again. So this we covered the types of data collected, metrics and logs. And whatever I say is all about current scenario. So what is happening today? All these technical systems, cloud, everything is getting renewed, right? So previously, we in olden times, we had 1 or 2 releases every year. Now it is not like that. Every day or every week, since everything is online, internet is free, cloud, these vendors, especially our Microsoft, is pushing whenever there is a bug fix required, it is pushing on the fly. Whenever there is an useful upgrade coming, they will be pushing it, and they will be making at least in the preview mode, right? And always one good part with Microsoft is they always keep a backward compatibility. So whatever we have previously will be there for some more time, and they will let you know that we are going to stop this particular functionality within by this date, within 10 years. So we are safe if we are going with Azure. That's my personal opinion. I was talking about this logs, right? So logs by default, we have a query explorer available. So when we collect data in a production enterprise level application, the amount of data will be very huge. So it is not easy to go through each and every event to understand, right? So some filtering mechanism, some querying feature is required. That's why we have a language called Kusto query language used. We cannot compare this with SQL or anything, but it's a very easy language. In the Microsoft documentation itself, you can find a small tutorial. So it's very straightforward, and you can easily understand what each statement meant, right? So using Kusto query language, you can do the analysis. It will simply display the filtered results. So based on that, you can take it forward for business decisions. So after this session, I will be sharing with you this PPT as well. So in most of the slides, I have provided the source URL as well, and I have also provided one reference slide at the end of this presentation, which you can use for further studies. And the types of data collected, right? So basically, we collect the data about the performance and functionality of the code. That's basically the application insights part of the application monitoring data. So when you start a new application, you will be integrating the Azure Monitor facilities in that application. Basically, Azure application insights. This Azure Monitor is the umbrella. Okay, so if you Google Azure Monitor versus Azure Application Insights, you will get some results. So, but ultimately you should understand that Azure Monitor is the umbrella, and everything including Azure Application Insights comes under that. Okay. In my Azure architecture exam also, there were questions which were confusing, because as options, Azure Monitor as well as Application Insights will be provided. So don't get confused. Everything comes under Azure Monitor umbrella. And for most of the languages and technologies, there are some components given by Microsoft, as well as open source components available in GitHub, and NuGet packages available, so which can be used to integrate the application insights capability in your application. And if you ask me about any performance glitches, yes, definitely there are some performance glitches, but it's negligible. It's very small, minute, so 0.1 milliseconds or something only, as per benchmarks I have read. And I have personally used application insights in my applications, and we never face any kind of performance issues. But if you look at the Azure documents, they say definitely some code snippet is being added to your application, and when you load the page, or it has to get compiled, or it has to, if it is JavaScript, some code snippet also extra need to be called and loaded, right? So a very minute performance glitch is there, but you can completely forget about that. It was never a problem for any application so far, and so far I did not see anyone complaining about the performance in any forums as well. Now, next type of data collected is when we use for virtual machines or a third-party infrastructure, Windows or some other Linux or operating system. Then you need an agent to be installed, and all the specifically what all information is collected we don't know, but or I don't know, but so voice monitoring data will be collected. So performance, everything will be collected, and be it in Azure, Kubernetes, or on-premise, wherever. Next is Azure resource monitoring data. It's to give you an example, SQL database, that's a resource. Cosmos DB is a resource. Azure key vault, that's a resource. So that level of monitoring, if you are configuring, that level of monitoring data is being collected. Then Azure subscription monitoring data, for example, your consumption, your how much money, right? So from an subscription point of view, from an operation and management point of view also, well, it collects data. So if you want to set a alert, like you do not want to spend $1,000, more than $1,000 for this particular project, this particular website a month, that's your business decision. Then you will set, if the amount crosses some $900, or if the amount reaches $1,000, then shut down or terminate the server or machine. So if you want to automate that, if you want to create an alert and action associated with that, then your system, your Azure Monitor needs to know how much you have consumed. For that, obviously, the subscription monitoring data is required. And ultimately, we have the tenant monitoring data also required, right? Such as Azure Active Directory, that kind of information was also collected by Azure Monitor. Now, specifically moving to Azure Application Insights. This is a reference diagram. So at the right side, you can see the types of information being collected. I am not going deep into that, but basically you have to understand the page loading time, the performance information, the Ajax calls, any REST calls, the basically the number of users, the analytics, the user analytics data, not in an advanced level, I would say. You might know the Google Analytics, right? So that collects each and every possible points. But our purpose is not in that much in a matured way, mainly because our purpose is operational and not the business improvement, but still it supports some kind of business improvement of decision making support as well. So it provides user and session counts, some counters, some diagnostic exception handling, those kind of information traces. And if you are configuring any custom events, like for example, audit trial, I'm just giving you a use case. You want to know when a user logins to the system, you want to log a message, a custom message in the database, or Azure Analytics, Azure Insights. So that custom event you can code in your application. So these are the types of events or the type of data collected in a very high level. And if you once you have the data available, if you go to the application insights section, the application monitoring section, then you can see some dashboards with some analysis, right? So you can even see a map, the application map. So some information will be available there. So these things as a workshop, we will continue in the upcoming sessions. We will try to host a new application. We will configure application insights, and we will together do some browsing, and we will go and check the monitor to see the types of diagnostics data, types of logs collected, the time series data, everything displayed in this dashboard. Now, this is a sample container insights. Container is basically the Kubernetes or in more specifically the Docker types of containers. And these are all basic inbuilt dashboards you see. So you can create your own custom workbook templates or custom Power BI visualizations as well. This is VM. You will not see much difference here, but in Azure Monitor, you have separate sections in the menu for each of these. Now the alerts and auto scale part, which we have discussed already. So this configuration also can be done directly in the Azure Monitor. So let me see if I can show you something. let me go directly to the monitor. So we do not have any specific resources created. One second. See, in the left side, you can see some alerts, matrices, right? So now everything is empty because I do not have sufficient resources. For creating an alert, just go directly and you can create an alert. Action groups are also there. I'm not going to create anything, but I'm just going to give a feeling of how we are supposed to create something. So the types of resources are available here, right? So I will go with the virtual machines, and it gets sorted with relevance, right? So I think I have only one database. I do not have any virtual machines here, so I cannot create anything here. So let me. This is my default resource subscription. I do not have anything. Databases. See, I have two databases. One, I can simply choose this. Okay. So for the actions you can provide it. So once the resource is selected, you can add the action groups and continue. This is how you will be creating the alerts here. Now going back to the presentation. VM insights also there, and auto alert scale. So this is just giving an example, right? So if the processor time parameter exceeds 80%, then you can set the maximum capacity possible is this, and it will auto scale based on this. So, and you have to put one more rule, like if the processor time is less than 30%, then you have to scale down as well. And this is in addition to the auto scaling capabilities provided by the resources. So if you go with the virtual machine scale sets, so it has got its own scalability features, right? So this is different from that. Or internally everything is the same, but it's like small differences. Now the visualization part, already I said, we have the Azure dashboards that allows you to combine different kinds of data into a single screen in Azure portal. It has limitations. It's a kind of basic dashboard. So if you want to go to a advanced visualization, then you have to go with the workbooks feature, where it provides a flexible canvas for data analysis and creation of rich visual reports in the Azure portal. So it's about digging deep into the data. And again, you can depend on Power BI-like systems to create your own visualization. The ideas of people are different. People think people to people think different, right? So you might be having a better idea when you see the data. So if you get the data, you can visualize your own, right? So Power BI is a very flexible tool for that, and two versions are available. The desktop version is also there, and online version is also there. And the desktop version is free. You can try it for free. And now about the integrations, we already covered. Some third-party integrations are supported, and if the third-party system which is outside of Azure, then you can rely on the REST APIs provided by Azure for the integration. And last but not least, we are concerned about the pricing aspects, right? So definitely, if there is some pricing also involved, and the aspects which you see here is not just the aspects. There is something more. Maybe pricing page also I will show. So there are basically, you will be charged for data injection, inputting the data, keeping the data, retention, and if you are exporting any data out as well. So by default, we will be going with the pay-as-you-go plan. There, per GB, you will be paying $2.76, right? And by default, it has free, kind of free tier, 5 GB is included. So this 2.76 is above something if you use. And there are different tiers available for pay as you after pay as you go model. If you can go with fixed GB plans as well. So if you know already, or if you crosses these aspects, then you will be charged in a different tier. You can, if you know your application is going to take this much amount after your analysis later, you can go for a fixed plan. So here you can see the amount is getting reduced. So you can directly go for that plan. And also I heard you can get a better pricing model if you contact directly Microsoft sales. And for retention, it's basically by default 31 days, and it's looks cheap, but overall it might cross this 0.12. And export, if you are exporting the data or if you are using a third-party tool to analyze the data, then this is the transfer rate you will have to pay. And log retention, the detailed information is available in their pricing page. And additionally, if you are an advanced user, if you are going to use web test, platform logs, so some other features, right? So specific, even the alert and auto scale comes with a price. So even though it's cheap, it costs something. So when you estimate for the features of, if you are working with pre-sales and all, you might want to consider all these aspects when you estimate for the consumption. Now we have reached the end. So for this session, whichever links I have referred, these are all what is mentioned. So before closing, I want to show you a video as well.
Azure Monitor is a service in the Azure cloud that helps you increase the performance and availability of your applications and services by collecting, analyzing, and acting on telemetry from your cloud and on-premises environment. You're actually using Azure Monitor the moment that you create an Azure resource. Metrics are automatically collected that measure its performance, and logs are collected that show the activity in your Azure subscription. With a little configuration, you can collect more detailed logs that give you further insights into your resource's operation. You can access much of this information from each resources menu in the Azure portal, or go to the Azure Monitor menu to access a wider set of features and to work with monitoring data collected across all of your applications and services. Azure Monitor isn't just for monitoring Azure services though, since it can collect data across every layer in your application stack. To illustrate this, let's have a look at how Azure Monitor operates. The data that Azure Monitor collects starts with the Azure platform. This includes sign-on information from Active Directory audit logs, the activity log for service health and configuration changes for your Azure resources, and resource logs and platform metrics which provide details to the operation and performance of each resource. Compute resources, such as virtual machines supporting your application's infrastructure, require an agent to collect logs and performance data from the guest operating system workloads. These VMs can live in Azure, another cloud, or even on-premises. You can also connect an existing System Center Operations Manager environment. For your application itself, use the Application Insights feature of Azure Monitor to collect detailed metrics and logs related to the performance and operation of an application written in any language in any environment. For anything else, Azure Monitor has APIs that will allow you to collect data from any REST API client. Data from all resources is collected together in Azure Monitor into either metrics or logs. This allows you to analyze data across all of your resources using a common set of methods and tools. Metrics are stored in a time series database and are lightweight and capable of supporting near real-time scenarios, making them particularly useful for alerting and fast detection of issues. Logs contain different kinds of data that you can analyze together with a powerful query language. They're especially useful for performing complex analysis across data from a variety of sources. Once data has been collected, Azure Monitor has a complete set of features to analyze and act on that data. You can interactively work with metric data using Metrics Explorer in the Azure portal. Analyze metrics from a single resource or combine multiple metrics across different resources. Log Analytics is a tool that lets you write queries to analyze all of your log data and interactively work with the results. Add metric graphs and output from your log queries to Azure dashboards to visualize them with other data. Or go to the next level with workbooks, which combine text, log queries, metrics, and parameters into interactive reports. In addition to interactively working with monitoring data, Azure Monitor can proactively alert you when a metric value or the results of a log query indicate a problem. You can define automated actions such as calling a webhook, launching an automation runbook or Azure function, or starting an Azure Logic app, which are all fully integrated with Azure Monitor's data. Use Autoscale to automatically add or remove compute resources based on the load measured by metric values. Insights provide a customized monitoring experience built on Azure Monitor data and features for particular applications and services. Application Insights is the most extensive and provides a sophisticated set of features for monitoring usage and performance data, in addition to identifying exceptions throughout all of the components of your applications. Microsoft provides insights for some of the more common Azure services that provide additional value beyond the standard Azure Monitor features used to monitor these services. Examples of current insights include virtual machines, containers, and network, and other services are regularly being added. In addition to using Azure Monitor features for analyzing and acting on monitoring data, you may have other tools in your environment, such as SIEM and ITSM tools, that require access to the data that it collects. You can send log and metrics data to Azure Event Hubs to make it accessible outside of Azure, or leverage other forms of integration that make metric data and log queries accessible to other services.
Okay, with this, we are done. If you have any questions, we can address now.
Thank you, Praveen. Thank you for the insightful session on Azure Monitor. I don't think we have any questions.
Okay, so thank you for having me here, and thank you for giving an opportunity to both Anuraj and the Azure community. Thank you.
Thank you, Praveen.
Bye.
Bye.